Picture this. You are driving down the highway in your brand new electric vehicle. It's the car you've wanted for years. Sleek, silent, powerful. You're merging onto the freeway when the car in front of you kicks up a piece of road debris. It's nothing massive, maybe a piece of tread from a truck tire or a small rock. You hear a thud underneath the floorboard. It's loud enough to make you wince, but the car drives fine. No warning lights, no loss of power. You get home, park in the driveway, and maybe, just to be safe, you take a flashlight and look underneath. There is a scratch on the metal plate protecting the battery. Not a hole, not a puncture, just a scrape. You take it to the shop, expecting a bill for a few $100s to buff it out or replace the skid plate. 2 days later, your insurance adjuster calls you. His tone is apologetic but final. He tells you that your $60,000 machine, with less than 5,000 miles on the odometer, is a total loss. They are writing it off. They are sending it to the junkyard because of a scratch. You think this is a mistake? You think it's insanity. But in the modern world of electric vehicle manufacturing, this is not a mistake. It is a calculated, terrifying economic reality that is quietly driving up insurance premiums for everyone and turning the dream of sustainable transport into a disposable nightmare. To understand why this is happening, we have to look at how the automobile has fundamentally changed, not just in how it's powered, but in how it is built. For 100 years, cars were collections of thousands of parts bolted together. If you dented a fender, you unbolted it and put on a new one. If you punctured a gas tank, you dropped the tank and installed a replacement. But the new generation of electric vehicles, spearheaded by Tesla and now being copied by almost everyone else, has moved toward a philosophy called structural integration. In the quest to make EVs lighter and to extend their range, engineers realized that the battery pack is the heaviest thing in the car. If you just bolt a heavy battery into a regular frame, the car becomes too heavy and inefficient. So, they had a brilliant double-edged idea: make the battery become the frame. In vehicles like the Model Y and many new competitors, the battery pack is no longer just a fuel tank sitting inside the car. It is the structural spine of the vehicle itself. The seats are bolted directly to it. The suspension connects to it. It is the floor, the chassis, and the power source all in one glue together. Welded shut monolith. This is a marvel of engineering for efficiency, but it is a catastrophe for when that road debris hit the bottom of your car, it didn't just scratch a protective cover. It compromised the structural integrity of the entire vehicle. Because the battery is glued into the structure, you cannot simply remove it and inspect it. There is no dropping the tank. To inspect the battery cells for damage, you would essentially have to destroy the car to get to them. And this brings us to the second, and perhaps most critical factor, the liability of the unknown. Insurance companies are in the business of risk management. When a gas car gets into a fender bender, the risk is visible. You can see a bent frame. You can see a leaking fuel line. But a lithium-ion battery is a black box chemical system. A scratch on the casing might be superficial, or it might have transferred a shockwave into the battery modules inside, causing a microscopic crimp in a separator or a slight deformation of a cell. You cannot see this damage with the naked eye, and you cannot easily scan for it without specialized, industrial-grade equipment that your local body shop definitely does not have. This invisible damage is what keeps insurance adjusters awake at night. If they pay to repair the cosmetic scratch on the outside, and 3 weeks later that microscopic internal damage triggers a thermal runaway event, a battery fire that burns down your garage and your house, the insurance company is liable. They authorized the repair. They said it was safe. The risk of a post-repair fire is so terrifyingly high in their actuarial tables that they have adopted a scorched earth policy. If the battery pack is touched, the car is dead. You might be asking, why not just replace the battery? It's a logical question. If the engine blows in a gas car, you put in a new engine. But here is where the economics of EVs completely detach from the reality we are used to. In a modern EV, the battery is not an accessory. It is often 40 to 50% of the total value of the car. If you are driving a car worth $50,000, the battery assembly alone might be worth $20,000 to $25,000. Now, add the labor, because these are structural packs. Swapping them isn't a matter of undoing for bolts. It involves stripping the interior, disconnecting high-voltage systems, and using specialized lifts. The labor costs are astronomical. When an insurance adjuster runs the numbers, they see a repair bill that is $25,000 or $30,000 for a car that is worth $50,000. In the insurance world, once repair costs hit 50% to 70% of the vehicle's value, it is automatically totaled. It is simply cheaper for them to cut you a check, auction the wrecked car to a salvage yard, and wash their hands of the liability. This leads to a bizarre and frustrating secondary market. There are now salvage yards across the country filling up with totaled electric vehicles that look brand new. They have straight body panels, perfect interiors, and clean titles except for that one scratch on the undercarriage. These cars are being bought by hobbyists and YouTubers who are willing to take the risk that the insurance companies won't. They buy the car for pennies on the dollar, drive it for years, and often find nothing wrong with it. But for the average consumer, and for the insurance industry, that car is toxic waste. The situation is made worse by the manufacturers themselves. For years, companies like Tesla, Rivian, and others have been incredibly secretive about their battery data. They do not give third-party repair shops access to the diagnostic tools needed to read the health of individual battery cells. Without that data, an independent mechanic cannot prove the battery is safe. They can't hook up a computer and say, look, the shock from the impact didn't reach the modules. They are flying blind. And because they are blind, they have to assume the worst-case scenario. We are also seeing the consequences of gigacasting. This is a manufacturing technique where huge sections of the car are cast as single pieces of aluminum rather than dozens of stamped parts welded together. Again, this is brilliant for manufacturing speed and cost. It's terrible for insurance. If you crack a gigacasting in a minor accident, you cannot cut out the bad part and weld in a new one. The entire casting is compromised. You have to replace the whole front or rear structure of the car. When you combine a structural battery with a gigacast frame, you have created a vehicle that is essentially disposable. It is designed to be built once, perfectly, and never taken apart. The irony here is painful. We are told to buy electric vehicles to save the planet. We are told that sustainability is the goal. But we are building cars that are so fragile to economic repair that we are throwing them away after minor incidents. An EV needs to be driven for tens of thousands of miles to offset the carbon emissions created during its manufacturing, specifically the mining of lithium and cobalt for the battery. If an insurance company totals that car at 5,000 miles because of a scratched skid plate, that vehicle has been a net negative for the environment. It is an ecological disaster, masquerading as a green solution. The industry is slowly waking up to this crisis. There is pressure on manufacturers to design batteries that are modular, where you can replace just the damaged section rather than the whole $20,000 unit. There is pressure to release diagnostic data so insurers can actually assess risk rather than guessing. But these changes take years to implement in manufacturing cycles. For now, we are in the Wild West phase of EV adoption, where the technology has outpaced the service infrastructure. So, what does this mean for you? It means that when you drive an EV, you are driving a piece of technology that is fundamentally different from the cars you grew up with. You are not driving a machine that can be fixed with a wrench and a hammer. You are driving a sealed ecosystem. It means that your insurance premiums are going to stay high, because you are effectively paying for the fact that your car is unfixable. And it means that we have to rethink what ownership really means. We are moving toward a world where cars are like smartphones. When you crack the screen on an old phone, you fix it. When you crack the screen on a new, sealed, waterproof, flagship phone, you are often told it's cheaper to just get a new one. We have accepted this disposable culture for our $1,000 gadgets. The question is, are we ready to accept it for our $50,000 cars? As you look at the gleaming rows of electric vehicles at the dealership, remember that the shiny, futuristic unibody design hides a fragility that the salesman won't mention. We are driving into a future of incredible performance and efficiency. But we are leaving the age of repairability in the rearview mirror. And until the industry figures out how to fix a scratch without scrapping the car, we are all just one piece of road debris away from a total loss. The car of the future is here, but it might be more temporary than you think.